All right, another handicapping video. We're going to go to Santa Anita out on the west coast, San Felipe, grade 2. Scott Shapiro's here again. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Em, how you doing?
Good, good. All right, so not a huge field, but kind of some contenders in here that are worth talking about and trying to separate. Just kind of glancing over this race real quick. I have the plot pulled up. Trying to, for the purpose of time, I kind of found 3 of these horses were just kind of X's to me, and that's the number 2 Vending Machine, the number 3 Ann Arbor Eddie, and the number 7 Bluegrass Envy. Did you find any of those horses contenders, or anything you want to add about those horses?
Well, I didn't pick any of those 3 in my top 3. However, I found it interesting that you mentioned that Ann Arbor Eddie is not a contender while Term of Art is. I found neither of them to be at the level of the top few, but to me, Ann Arbor Eddie has proven his worth at the Calbred level by winning all 3 of the starts there, including 2 at 2 turns against stakes competition, and finished 3rd in a grade 3 against Open Company, and then 2nd last time out at the El Camino, as the favorite up at Golden Gate. So to me, I would be a lot less surprised by Ann Arbor Eddie than Term of Art, who I just think is too slow. But neither of them, to me, are horses that I will have much interest in using on top.
Well, really the reason that I was kind of against Ann Arbor Eddie, and the reason that I'm a little bit interested into Term of Art, just really it comes down to trip. And if I'm just, I have the plot pulled up, and you look at where Ann Arbor Eddie is in quadrant 3, maybe a little bit in quadrant 1, but close to the pace in at the first call, and then at the second call drops back. There's other horses that are just faster. So that horse to me was just kind of, I just don't see that horse winning based on trip. If I just kind of look over, pull up the grid and look at class, the 2 times in graded stake races, both in grade 3, B minus, which moving forward into a grade 2, it just isn't, it's not enough to get it done. Those B's coming in the, in those, state bred races there. So just on class a little bit short, and then on trip, I'm just not seeing it. I mean, the Golden Gate races came back pretty darn slow. So then, we'll kind of get into the 1, and I just think that, there's a scenario, and this horse is a little bit dirty. Yeah, is he fast enough? He's got to move forward, but from a trip perspective, if they do kind of bunch up, I'm going to switch over to surface distance because I think this is kind of a better tell. If they bunch up, like now I have the 4, 3, 2, 5 are in quadrant 1. The 6 drops out, but he's, should be on the lead as well. So if all those horses kind of bunch up on the front end, this horse could just pick up the pieces. I mean, I don't know, again, if he's good enough to win, but there's a scenario that, maybe that could happen. I'll just kind of pull up the grid real quick because, on speed figures, this horse is a little bit short. It's kind of going from the bottom up. The first race, that was a prep. He stretched out. He was the favorite. Didn't get a whole lot of pace to run at. Still ran a solid 2nd, and then won. It was kind of a blanket finish, but still, run style. Got the win, so showed some grit there. And then the Breeders' Cup Juvenile was off the pace. I think the track was favoring speed that day, so I can kind of just draw a line through that race. The Del Mar race in November, I thought that race was kind of sneaky good over a good track. He was against the bias, so better than look. We have a move, and then a hard keyword, and trying to see what the bias was just ran against the profile that day. But then the hard race, regressed a little bit, coming back in the slop and the sham again, kind of dominated on the front end. And then the last time out, ran on late. I think also a little bit against the flow that day, and ran on late and galloped out strong. So I just think there's a little bit more upside on this horse. Yeah, maybe he's slow, but if if they do go fast up front, or at least just bunch up front, being alone, kind of that lone closer scenario, and a horse at a big price in a race that, you and I kind of briefly talked about is just not that great of a betting race. This horse could maybe make it a little bit juicy. That's what I saw in that horse.
Okay, I mean, those are understandable. I guess my major issue, other than the fact that I just think the horse is too slow, is his maiden win was a nose victory and a blanket finish against the runner-up is still a maiden in that race, and the third place finisher isn't much of a runner in my opinion either. And then the only other win came in that Cecil B. DeMille that you spoke of that was better than looked over a good surface. Yeah, it was a nice looking win, but it was a washed off the turf race, so the competition in there, once again, to me, compared to this, is just way, way less. So I think maybe you're right in terms of the trip, because there could be, as you say, some bunching up front, a lot of horses that like to be prominently placed, but I'd be pretty surprised if this horse is a factor.
Yeah, it's a
20 to 1 though.
It's 20 to 1, and yeah, I think there's horses, to be fair, that are more likely, but I can see that scenario. So, just kind of moving numerically in the horses that are more likely, we'll get to the favorite, number 4, Mastery. And, I think based on class and based on his speed figures, I think this horse is an obvious contender. There's, I can't really find a fault other than, I don't know. Class-wise, he's earned an A, maiden special weight, B+ in a grade 3, and an A- in a grade 1. I don't know how good those races are, but he's done everything right so far. Price is short. What did you think about this horse?
Yeah, there's not a lot to fault. 3 for 3 is won at 3 different tracks, 1 turn and 2 turns. Short prices. The Bob Hope, which is a grade 3 at Del Mar, he beat 2 Calbreds, so I'm not overly impressed with that group. And I know that Los Alamitos Futurity group was subpar, with a maiden running second, a good maiden, but still. I think, obviously, one of the 2, I believe, most prominent in terms of Derby prospects at this point for Hall of Famer Bob Baffert. I still have to see a little more against a little better off the layoff to get super excited, and he is drawn inside his rivals, which to me may force Mike Smith's hands. So I'll be far from surprised if he wins. If he doesn't win, I won't exclude him from being a Triple Crown contender, but I didn't pick him on top.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, his wins to me, he's done it right. The Hooterty beat comes out, but just not overly impressive. I don't my jaw doesn't drop when I see this horse run. The number 5, Gormley. So again, I have a plot pulled up. Another horse that's going to be forwardly placed. I guess, it's just one bad race. Came in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, getting that wide trip. I'm a little bit soft on this horse, kind of for the same sort of trip reason, but I mean, yeah, he can win. He's done everything right. I'm not super sold on the longer the better for this horse. So I guess if any of the more likely, it'd be a little bit against him, but I'm also willing to be wrong there. What are your thoughts on Gormley?
Well, last time out in the sham, in the slop, I thought I've seen this horse in the flesh in all 4 of the starts live, and I thought he looked by far the worst he had ever looked. He was washy. I think it even mentions that in the racing form, which is rare, but I noticed he was washy. Did not expect him to run. Thought American Anthem would definitely beat him that day, and instead he showed a ton of heart and grit and ability on that day. And it kind of made me think that this horse is one that can win without being on his, having it be his best day, which is something very encouraging to me, kind of like American Pharoah in the Kentucky Derby a couple years ago. Not to compare Gormley to American Pharoah, but just to give you an idea of what I'm referring to, winning on not your best day. I like this horse, and then when I looked at the plot, I like the horse even more. I think he hopefully will, if you're wagering on this horse, will sit right off the pace and be able to outfinish this group without there being a great late running horse. You're looking to term of art in that respect, and I just don't know about that compared to Gormley and Mastery. I think this horse might be able to beat the logical horses to the wire, but I'm intrigued that you aren't as crazy about this horse, mostly the part that you're not encouraged moving forward in terms of increasing distances.
Yeah, and while you were talking, and I'm just kind of staring at the grid, I started to like this horse a little bit less because, on debut we have that turf note, and then in the front runner he won Lone Trip and Flow, so it doesn't get any more ideal than that. Breeders' Cup Juvenile can be a little forgiving again because it was wide, but another turf comment. I agree. I think this horse could take the turf very easily, and then he won in the slop. So distance I question, and then also surface. I think if he has to get behind horses, maybe he doesn't take kickback. We haven't really seen that yet. So it's kind of the second choice in there. I might be a little bit soft on this guy. All right. Moving on down to the number 6, Iliad. Horse that just is improving, and I thought his last race was really nice. I really liked that race a lot, and I think that this horse should handle the stretch out. I think he deserves a chance to get a stretch out. There's kind of nothing I saw that would keep me from playing him going forward in distance. So he's an interesting horse to me.
Yeah, absolutely. He's one of the horses that switched hands with the business divorce of Bob Baffert and Kaleem Shaw. Doug O'Neill took over training duties, and this horse put forth an awesome effort in the San Vicente last out. Mind you, you'll see Battle of Midway in the running lines, who came back and was pretty impressive yesterday in a high-level optional claimer, I believe it was, at Santa Anita. That horse didn't fire, did not come into the race well, and looked much better yesterday. But this horse did nothing wrong that day. Won nice at Los Alamitos on December 18th. Not a lot to dislike about this horse. Just wondering what the trip will be and if the 2 turns will be to his liking. You're suggesting that you think it very well could be. I'm kind of up in the air on that.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't enough for me to really push one way or another. Some horses I can just look. They're kind of like slapping me in the face, like, oh, this horse wants 1 turn, or this horse is not going to stretch out. And just what he showed there, I think it's not enough of a reason for me to not play him stretching out. I think he deserves a chance to go 2 turns, and then I'm going to kind of make more of an assessment after today, but I'm not against him based on the distance, that's for sure. Trip-wise, and again, I have the plot pulled up. We're on standard. He's got a good plot, the only horse above the par line, so he's got enough speed, and he can kind of kick on that last part, even though he is a circle. But the number 4, like in comparison, Mastery is a little bit below him, and you have to keep in mind that he's yet to start as a 3-year-old, so capable to improve from that. Where the number 6, Iliad, has run at 3. So.
Are you concerned in terms of the plot with the fact that he looks to have a little less closing kick to him with all of these other horses that are going to be? It's not as if he's going to be, loose per se on the lead by any stretch, or you wouldn't think he would, and especially drawing to the outside with Pratt, I would, wonder if he's going to let somebody go and use as a target. Are you concerned about the way the plot shapes up in that respect?
I think it's always a concern, but I think that, and we've talked about this on videos in the past, that this horse only has 3 starts. And that first start where he's 9th, beaten 12 lengths, is factored into his shape. So, I would love, and eventually we'll kind of work on this, if you can eliminate a run line, like if you could take out that race and then kind of see where the horse is, because obviously, you can kind of sort of toss that first race. So it's not as concerning, but I guess it is something to think about. He's stretching out. There are some other questions, but it's not necessarily a super negative plot, but I see what you're saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's, I'll be very surprised if one of the top three, Mastery and Gormley or Iliad, do not win this race. I've just always, once Gormley knocked me out of, I believe, a pick five or something in his debut at Del Mar, and I know, this horse just always struck me physically until last time out as a real good looker and someone special. So I'm leaning that way. Mastery obviously has every chance to be a real, to be a star for a great Triple Crown trainer, but coming off the layoff, a little longer of a layoff, I kind of think that I give the advantage to Gormley over Mastery in this one.
So I might go O'Neill in here, 1-2 punch with a
6-1, huh? That'll pay.
Stab with that one, and just hope they bunch up, and this guy is ready to take a move forward.
Could be. I mean, Iliad could end up having that same running style as I'll Have Another if all went well, kind of a stalker. I think. I don't know if this horse is going to take them wire to wire in a Grade 1 Triple Crown race, but it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this horse progresses. In fact, all three of them.
Yeah, I think Iliad, as far as running style goes, obviously he's fast. I mean, he's fast enough to get the lead, but he doesn't strike me as a horse that's like, he absolutely needs the lead. Like, he's going to pull himself in front. That if, the horses to his inside decide to break in front, I think he's kind of smart enough, looks classy enough to be able to kind of relax. But again, we'll see around 2 turns. All right, so I think that's it. We tried to do a short video for what it's worth. You guys were trying to be mindful of that. So anything you want to add?
No, it's a great day of racing. 11 races out here at my home track, Santa Anita. So I'm really looking forward to it. A couple of the two races that will get the most fanfare in the news, the Big Cap and the San Felipe, not great betting races, but I think value can be found in the Kilroy Mile, and as usual, the China Doll, the 11th and last race of the day, is a great betting race. So take a look at that if you have not, for 3-year-old fillies, gone 2 turns on the grass.
I have not. I haven't looked at those. I'm about to do that right now. Do you have do you want to throw out a pick? Do you have a horse to look at? You need to save it for your sheet?
No, I mean, I can discuss. That race, the China Doll, the favorite is that Surcat Sally, who's a Calbred. That's 3 for 3, is won sprinting on the dirt at Del Mar on 2 turns. The day California Chrome won, I believe, at Los Alamitos, and then came back and won on the turf in the California Cup Oaks on the grass, and looked pretty good in doing so, but now takes on Open Company as the favorite. I respect the horse, but I think she will be tested much more than before. 2 European imports that I give chance to are number 9, Madame Dancelot, who I picked on top, and number 8, Force, who I picked for third. But it's a wide open race, and Miss Sugar's another European import for Jeff Mullins, looks good. So definitely a real cool race, and non-graded turf stakes races tend to be the best wagering races out here in Southern California.
Yeah, just kind of, pulling up the plot and looking up the plot real quick. She's definitely going to have some contention up front, that's for sure. Madame Dancelot, you mentioned that one. She's coming off a good note and looks like a good trip horse. So it looks like there is some
She has you have a good note on her as well. I thought the last race was a prep. For this race, they clearly probably won 2 turns. They tried her in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly and Turf, and she was completely, outrun and outclassed. But I think this is a much more realistic spot going 2 turns for Richard Baltus.
Yeah, the note on there is better than look, no cover, close, improve. The extended comment is a sneaky good effort, should handle more ground as well. So 6-1 looks like a horse to kind of mess around with for sure. And yeah, the favorite does looks a little bit vulnerable. Just kind of a quick glance.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks again. We'll go. I think we're planning on next Thursday. Where's the race next week?
I don't know. It's tournament time, and we're heating up in the Triple Crown. It's March. It's good time. You can do your basketball trip notes as well as your horse race.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I know. The best basketball trip notes March handicapper in business, Emily Gullickson.
All right, now I'm embarrassed. We'll close the video. All right. Thanks again, you guys. Again, subscribe to the channel. Check out Optics. We posted the grid and the plot for the Tampa Bay Derby up on the Optics GQ Twitter, as well as for